us all together. Lord, we gather in your name as children of a sovereign God. Forever we proclaim, to God be all glory.
Well, good morning. How you doing? It is Friday, January the 16th, 2026. Welcome to episode 566 of The Thinking Theologian as we continue our journey through the scriptures. So today we read Genesis chapter 12 to 15. We're back in the book of Genesis after taking a break and reading the book of Job. The title of today is Parting Ways is Not Always Bad. The focal scripture is in Genesis chapter 13, verse 14, and this is what it says. It says, after Lot had separated from him, the Lord said to Abram, look from the place where you are, look north and south, east and west. And so moving on from people you know and are even related to is not always a bad path to take. I know in my personal life, moving on from relationships in my life have been difficult in the moment, but ultimately led to greater success and clarity. I've lost friends because we did not view life the same way, and had a break of fellowship. I left a ministry position because of unethical behavior, and in turn lost many people who I believe were good friends, who I thought were good friends. In all these instances, the immediate break was hurtful, but the relationships were not healthy. Then after relationships were severed, God showed up in ways I wasn't expecting. So in today's reading, we see that Abram and Lot did not always get along. It was so bad that the people that worked for them in the field didn't get along either. They just kept having issues. The workers kept having problems. So what did they decide? They decided to part ways. One went one direction and the other the opposite direction. However, what happened next can go missed if you're not looking closely at the text. And so right after they separated, the Lord spoke to Abram. It took a broken relationship before the Lord spoke and gave clear instructions. And so go back and look at what it says in here. It says, they just separated ways, they went. And then it says, after Lot had separated from him, the Lord said to Abram. And so until that separation took place, God really wasn't speaking to Abram the way he needed to, or the way he wanted to. So in today's reading, we see that Abram, so what does this mean for us as believers? It means that we need to evaluate the relationships we have in our lives. Are they healthy, or are they causing us to miss out on God's voice? I can tell you that friendships I thought were healthy did much damage to my walk. Why? Because the relationship was not Christ-focused. Even the ministry position I left hindered my walk with the Lord. I can now see that my passion for ministry was too much for that pastor and the church. Now, I'm not saying I'm better than any person, but I am saying the relationships were doomed from the start. Ministry fills my cup. Integrity is a balm to my soul. Passion for students and the word spurs me on in my spiritual walk. When I don't get those things, my cup runs dry. It is hard for me to do ministry. And this is why I left that ministry position, because of the damage it was causing me, and ministry was not done in the right way. And so I was not aware of that until I parted ways. I mourn the loss of friendships and relationships. However, I hear from God more clearly now than I have in a very long time. And so I challenge you today to make bold moves in your relationships. Find out if they are hindering you from hearing the Lord speak. It may cause some temporary pain, but it will grow your faith more than you will ever understand. So not every friendship lasts or works out in your life. It is important to find that out before it drags you down and stifles your walk. It is okay to not be on the same page spiritually with a person or even a group of people, but it is not okay to allow it to ruin your fellowship with the Lord, which is what we see happen here with Abram and Lot. When they separated ways, God began to speak. And so after you separate, um, have an open ear for the Lord. And so that's what we need to do. And that's my challenge to you, and challenge to myself. And as you're going through the things in your life, and now we have to be careful here that we just don't like to throw away every relationship because of whatever reason. But when there is a reason to part ways, it needs to be parted. It needs to go, because you may very well hear from the Lord in a way you weren't before. So I hope that makes sense, that parting ways is not always bad. So tomorrow we'll be in Genesis 16 through 18. Thank you for being with us today. Have a good